Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome to the week one go-to training for psychology of play. Hope everyone is enjoying the class so far. Most people are probably just got done with creative presentation, so that's exciting. Hope everybody had a good time. Right, before you ask, I might not be your actual instructor for the course. Each week we have a different instructor do our go-to training. So people from several other instructors' courses are going to be here. So if you're saying I don't know this handsome gentleman, he's not my instructor, don't despair. I'm here for the go-to training. So you're in the right place. And similarly, in the next thank you. Next week I will not be here. So if you're one of the students who's in my section, next week we'll have a different instructor. We'll be doing the go-to training. So each week you're going to have somebody else doing it. So just wanted to give everyone a heads up on that. But right, my name is John Morton. That's my picture, in case you wonder what I look like. That's me, and we're going to talk about psychology of play. I think why was the email from Wendy? Wendy is the course director from the program, so she is in charge of the entire course. All right. Moving on. Psychology of play. So what are we doing here? I think every month I have students who say, oh, okay, well, I know psychology. Are we talking about playing? Are we talking about a theater production? Are we talking about video games? And what we're actually talking about when we say psychology of play is just what you imagine kids doing, having fun, going out and enjoying ourselves, which really changes. I think we have some really different perspective that changes as we get older. Everyone played as a child. That's pretty standard behaviors. But as we get older, I think we end up doing it a lot less. We end up looking for opportunities to play less. We end up probably doing more work, schoolwork, chores, responsibilities, things like that. So it kind of seems to be one of the things that falls off the radar. And what we really try to drive home with this course is that play has a lot of benefits. So it's useful for us. It's useful for people who are in creative fields. So most of you, or I'd probably say all of you, are in creative fields, and to ensure that you have career longevity, and kind of don't burn out, play is one of the things that can really be beneficial. So that's a really basic, roughed out version of why we're talking about play and why we have this class. Terry asks, so play for this is defined as activities you get enjoyment from. Yeah, we're going to actually go through, and we'll talk about qualities of play, what play looks like, in the second half of the course, the second half of the session. So we'll be going through that. Different instructor. I might not be your instructor. I was talking about this earlier. There are several of us who teach the class. So your instructor may be someone else, but we share our go-to training sessions. So that is why I'm here. So right, where are we going? we're going to be talking about what the course looks like, what some expectations are that you all can have about us, what's going to be expected to from all of you as we move forward through the course. I know I think everyone probably had creative presentation ahead of this. I don't know if anyone else had any other courses before this one, but it's similar. We do our work through the Full Sail online portal, so that's how all of our work is going to get done. it looks pretty similar. Here we are, right? We have our weekly our weekly assessments. It's all there. So the class is similar in that way, where you just log into the portal, everything will be open Sunday night, and usually everything closes on Sunday. If you check closely, some things actually say different due dates. Like our E3 Essentials assessment, some of you have already taken it, but that's due tonight. So make sure that if you haven't already looked at your E3 Essentials pre-assessment, you check that out and get that finished before tonight. It's a pretty simple assessment, but I'd encourage everybody to go ahead and look at that. Austin, you're ahead of the game. If you've already done the planned assessment and required reading, wow, you're on top of things then. Excellent. So right, check out the E3 assessment. It says pre-assessment because there's also a post-assessment. So we're going to be doing it at the beginning in week 1 and then again in week 4, and it's interesting. We use the E3 assessment for a lot of things at Full Sail. I've taken it a number of times, and what I think is interesting is I've done a lot of different types of personality assessments and things like that. It sheds some insights into how I viewed myself and how that could be beneficial or not beneficial. I'm going to pause and just take a minute. If everyone could reserve the chat box for things you want to say to me. Otherwise, the chat box flies by really fast and I miss questions. So if you have things you want to message your friends and your peers, awesome. I'm happy for you to be doing that. If you could do that through FSO or somewhere else, that would be ideal. Just so that way I can see everyone's questions that they have. No need to apologize. It's okay. But it's just an easier use of the chat box for me, so that way I can actually see, and everything gets done that way. Interesting. If you say Austin, you said you couldn't choose many words in the E3. That's all right. It's one of those things that things either resonate for you or they don't. I found words that I felt fit, and I didn't pick ones that didn't. What I ended up realizing when I took the E3 assessment, or I guess my biggest takeaway over the years was for some leadership training I was doing, and they were looking at it through, or what stood out to me was my criticality scores. I scored very low in criticality. I wasn't not critical of others. And I, remember sitting there and thinking, I'm like, well, I'm a nice guy. I'm not very critical of people. That seems like that seemed like an excellent thing. And, I kind of I read into it a little bit and said, well, you're nice and you like people and you want to tell them nice things. However, if you're leading a group, if you have something going on, then you might have a hard time providing constructive criticisms. You might have a hard time correcting people when they need correction. So I thought it was an interesting insight that I took away from that. So it definitely. It's an interesting assessment. I don't think I would bet the farm on it. I think that it has some unique insights. But again, if you don't think it applies, if you don't feel like the results resonate, don't let it mean anything in your life. Then I think it does provide some interesting insights, but don't let it be something that you feel defines you or anything like that. Kevin, if you come in late, you can just watch the review first 10 minutes. I'll post this video up afterwards. Austin, yeah, if you you thought the results resonated pretty well for me, all the same, yeah, I think that again, it's going to pick up on the things that you choose and say, oh, okay, well, you chose these things. All right, so that's the E3 essentials. We're doing the live lecture right now. That's us here and now. So everyone's everyone's in good shape. Make sure you click that button that says you completed it. And then we move on to the weekly plan. We have the weekly plan. Again, it's due tonight. We're going to go through the weekly plan in a minute. I'm going to scroll down and we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to just kind of run through this list and then we'll go through the actual what the activities look like. But the weekly plans are due tonight. They are a plan for the entire week. So it means kind of planning your week out ahead of time. Darius, if you already submitted it, you're in good shape. Excellent. Well done. Sorry, that's the weekly plan. We have the readings, activity 1.4. I believe there's actually 2 sections of readings. This is an old screenshot. My apologies for that. Make sure you do the readings. Two things to take away. When you do the readings, pay attention to them. Make sure you do them before you start your discussion board post. You definitely want to do them because we're going to ask you to discuss topics from the readings in your discussion post. So usually you're asked to discuss 2 different topics that came up in the readings. A lot of times people will kind of take one topic and break it down into 2 pieces. I'd say make sure you're picking 2 distinct, different, separate topics from the readings when you are making your discussion board post. The easiest way to make sure that you're discussing 2 totally separate topics is to pick one from each reading. I believe that, activities 1.4 and 1.5, if you go into the Full Sail Online platform, are 2 separate reading activities. So if you go in there and you pick one from 1.4 and one from 1.5, you'll definitely have 2 separate topics. Your instructor will be very happy to sit and hear what your thoughts are and your experience and your definition and your words of those topics. So those kind of things to think about when you're doing your discussion board post. Let me see. And I believe, again, I apologize. This is an old screen grab. It says initial post due Wednesday, but in reality on yours, it's due on Thursday. So the initial post is due on Thursday. So make sure that you get that turned in by Thursday, the initial post. After that, you'll be responding to 2 of your peers using the RISE model. So just make sure that you review the RISE model and you're hitting all the points of that when you're leaving feedback for each other. The brain teaser or quiz or whatever you want to call it, it is a test. It is a multiple choice assessment. It's open book, and the questions are pulled directly from the readings. Have the readings open when you're doing it. We want you to get a good grade on this. We want you to be successful. Please make sure that you don't leave points on the table that you could easily earn. So just make sure that you are going over all the readings when you're doing the test. So they're all there. Fairly easy to check them out and get a hold of them. And then there's bonus material each week. The bonus material the test is timed, yes, but it is I think it's a 24-hour window you have. So you have some time. If it shouldn't take the full 24 hours. So yeah, just kind of keep that in mind. Right, bonus material each week. If you really just haven't gotten enough and you want to learn a little bit more, dive in. You can read more in our bonus material sections. Yeah, Terry, to answer your question, read the sections and then take the test. It's open book or open readings. The readings is our text for the class. So make sure that you've done the readings and keep them open. Reference them in the test. If you're stuck on a question and you don't remember, go back. Even if you think you might know the answer, go back and check. Just double check. This is really one of those ones where uh, it's pretty straightforward. Does the bonus material affect your grade anyway? It does not. It is unrelated to your grade. It's just there if you're interested. I am going to go over the weekly plans. Give me just a minute. Yeah, you can see the weight on everything, where it's a percentage of your grade. Again, this is an old screen grab. These percentages might be slightly different than what your current ones look like. So the discussion board is worth 10%. The brain teaser is worth 7%. The weekly plan is worth 5%. The E3 Essentials is worth 1%. That's the breakdown for week 1. So that's what that looks like. Moving on, we're going to talk about the weekly plan. So each weekly plan is a completed one. Should look something like this. We start in the work section. Each day, you'll put your top 3 priorities for. This can be schoolwork. This can be your job. This can be household chores. This can be errands you're running. All of your general adulting type responsibilities. If you have to, take your kids to the doctor, or you need to, go get your brakes changed. Anything that falls into those type of responsibilities. Clean the house, whatever it is, all of that can go in the work section. So that's really the idea. Anything that you have that, stuff that needs to get done, whether it's schoolwork, regular work, you can put your assignments in there. That's actually probably, we would like you to have 3. Yeah, I think that it's probably reasonable that on any given day, you're going to have 3 things. You can absolutely put more than 3, Bianca, if you want. But yeah, we want the top 3 priorities, at least when we go and look at that. So, yeah, if you don't have to, if your schedule's crazy, you can. In an ideal world, it's a useful tool for you. If you find it to be useful, great. If you don't, you can put your top 3. But if it's useful to you and you want to put as many things as you want in there, please feel free to do that. You can always add more. What if you have nothing that needs to get done on Sundays? This is a good opportunity for me to talk about this. I want everyone because I realize everyone's in a different place. Some people are totally huge and busy and overwhelmed, and some people have a ton of stuff going on. And some people are pretty, relaxed in what they're doing, and they've got a lot of free time, so on and so forth. I'd encourage everyone to use this as an aspirational plan and calendar. So if there's things that you'd like to get done, whether or not you think you have time, just like, hey, if I have extra time, there's a couple things, that I still need to get done this week that I'd like to get done. That's really what we're looking for as far as the weekly plan goes. Don't copy and paste the same thing over and over again. Yeah, I agree with that, with what Colleen said. I think that it's reasonable that you probably have different things that you need to get done. If you're going to do schoolwork every day, that's awesome. Put what activity you're actually going to do. So, if you're going to work on, your discussion board post, put discussion board post. If you're going to put, hey, I'm working on my weekly plan today, that's fine. You can do that. For today, you wouldn't need to put anything in for Monday, because obviously the day's passed. You're welcome to. If you don't, I won't take off. But right, I'm looking for people to actually take some time and think about what you'd like to get done each day. Storms, if you already copy and pasted, I'd recommend you resubmit. You can always add a submission and let your instructor know with a little note that says, hey, Mr. Morton explained, what was going on with the weekly plans. and I want to resubmit because I think I might not have done exactly what was expected. So no problem, just resubmit. Darius, I have quite a bit of structure in my schedule. My plan will appear to be repeating. It's understandable that there is going to be some repetition in your schedule. I go to the gym on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I understand. I go to work on the same days of the week. I get it. I realize that there's different stuff. Again, I think Austin kind of hit it on the head. Don't overthink it. Just be original, and let me know the things you actually want to be doing. Yeah, it's understandable, Victoria, that there's definitely going to be some stuff that repeats throughout the course of the week. Totally, it happens. It's not a big deal. It's just I a lot of times I'll have you're going to complete one each week. Right. We just want to make sure that people are actually putting some thought into this. Yep. So again, you can look at this one. There's things that repeat. Every day it says check email. It's important to check your email. For us, this is another instructor who made this example, but it says check email every day. That is a thing you'll probably do every day. So if you have one thing that you do every day, it makes sense that it'd be there. If you have to go into the office, if you have to log into the FSO platform, that's kind of what we're looking for here. I think this is a really good example of kind of what things look like. There's chores are written on there, and Pernell, if you say your week rarely changes, it doesn't have to change, but I'm confident that there's probably more than 3 things that you actually do each day. You can write different ones in. You don't have to. I log into my work email every day, but I don't have to put that on here. I can. It's an option. But there's a lot of things that I do on a regular basis that I'm confident that with a small amount of creativity, you'll be able to remember to write the right things, or remember to put things that don't require you to just copy and paste across the board. There's always something. I think that pretty much covers the work section of it. Yeah, Terry. Some things are routine, but some things are important for getting the kids, picking them up, right? Yep. I think that Pernell, if you have any more specific questions, you're more than welcome to email me or your instructor if you're not in my section, and get more details for it. Alex, I'm going to talk about the push section in a minute, but I'll explain. I'll get into that just a bit more. So I think that the work section, I think the work section is pretty well covered. Work, responsibilities, chores, even household chores. It's my garbage only gets picked up twice a week. One day is recycling. I'm the one, who puts those things. So, every Tuesday, or I guess Monday night, I need to take the recycling or the garbage out, and Tuesday I need to take the recycling out. Then, Thursday I need to take the garbage out again. They're routine things, but I need to remember to do them. So all sorts of things like that. I mean, you really can, put anything and everything. I just want to avoid having the copy and paste across the board. Back down to the play section. I before anyone jumps in and says I don't have time to play, which inevitably someone will say, and I realize that if that's the situation that you find yourself in, if you are not incorporating play regularly into your day, for one, I'd encourage you to start. If that's not enough of an enticement for you, I'll say that for the purpose of this assignment, treat that as an aspiration. If you had time to play, what would you be playing? If you had time for fun, what's the thing you'd most be interested in engaging in? You know, each day. What's an activity that you think would be a lot of fun? And what I'd encourage you to do is, if you find, start small. If you find that you have, an extra 10 minutes in the day, and you said, your fun thing you wanted to do was, play a, do a Sudoku puzzle, or work on a crossword, or whatever's fun for you. You kind of just take that extra 10 minutes you found in the day and do that thing. It can start small. Yes, Cameron, you do need to, there is the rest cycle in Breck, absolutely. So right, that's what we're talking about for the play section. Whatever play looks like for you is okay, with the caveat that please keep it professional, which means if it is, not appropriate, keep it PG-13. If it is illegal or very adult, probably not something to put in there. So keep that in mind. Use your best judgment. That, yeah, I think that probably covers it. Any questions on the play section? If you do, jump out with them. I'm happy to hear from them. Going to your kids' games, is that considered play? It is, if you think it's fun to do those things. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I'm a parent, so if it's fun for you, then yes. If it's horrible and miserable and it's not what you want to be doing with your time, no, I'm just kidding. I have twin boys. They're great. Some of the things that we go out and do are more fun than others. So but I'm a parent and I do the deal, so I get it. All right, I think we've pretty much covered play. I think that's pretty good. Zachariah, so all I really do for fun is video games. Is that okay if I put video games in the slot? What I would tell you about that is, it's fine to put video games, but I would ask you to be specific. Tell me what game you're playing. If you're playing different games, if you're playing the same game, give me a little bit more about it. Are you going to stream it on Twitch? Are you going to, are you working on a specific campaign? Are you playing online? Like, tell me what's happening. If you just put, PUBG across the board, I will say, be more specific. Is there a goal that you're working towards? Is there something that you really like? Etc. So, it's going fast. Yeah, but whatever the games are, yes. Yeah, Luke, you say I play multiple games as well. I just put. I'd encourage you to be specific. I realize you don't always know what game you're going to play ahead of time, but tell me some of the different titles that are likely the things that you'll pick. Yeah, well, I realize that not everyone. If you may not have goals when you're playing video games. Tell me something above and beyond. I'm playing video games. If it's just what game you're playing, are you in a campaign? Are you playing online? Are you playing with your friends? Give me some detail that isn't just title of game pasted across the whole screen. Does that make sense? Oh, all right. Yes and no. Well, I hope that the yes part is more than the no part. If you want to get into more specifics, again, you can email me afterwards, and I'll be happy to. You know what I want. There we go. That's that's perfect. again, I'm not the only teacher, so I want to make sure that I can give you information that's going to make you successful, no matter who your instructor is. That's really what I'm looking to do. Is it okay if I wasn't completely specific? I think that I think it depends on how vague you're being. If you wrote one thing across the whole board, I'll and you're in my section, I'm going to tell you to not do it again. And if you do it again, I would probably say, hey, you need to add more details in this because whatever's happening is not is not the level of detail that we're looking for. Again, I don't want to spend forever sitting here and telling how your play section is supposed to look. I want to make sure that you're using it and you're being aspirational with it. Yeah, again, adhere to this. All right, so I'm gonna again real quick, everyone. If we can just use the chat box to communicate with me, not amongst yourselves. Not that I have any problem with you talking to each other, but the chat box goes by really fast, and I can't answer questions if they fly by. Yes, you can absolutely put piano lessons in your play section if that's something that you have fun and enjoy. Absolutely. Are there any more questions about the play section? If there are, jump in with them. I think that everyone's fairly clear on what we're looking for. We're moving on to the fit section. Again, think about this from an aspirational standpoint. I get someone who says, I don't exercise, and they just write that across the board. That's fine. You don't have to exercise. That's not what I'm looking for. If you do exercise, great. That's cool. That works. That is a wonderful fit activity. But we're looking at fitness from a full system perspective. So I want to know about your mental fitness. I want to know about um, how are you taking care of yourself? How is your health, wellness, and well being physically, mentally? If you're a spiritual person, spiritually, what are you doing? Meditation is a great thing. That works. That is a great activity for fitness. That'll come up later on in the class. We'll talk about meditation and mindfulness practices in week 4. So those are definitely some things that you would put in there. You can cook a healthy meal for yourself. There's a lot of different things you can do. What if it's just waking up on time, eating healthy meals, going to sleep on time? Yeah, Christopher, that's great. Yeah. Adhering to a sleep schedule, that's great. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a great thing you can do to take care of yourself, for your overall fitness, health, well-being. um yeah, Damien, you can use email as well. Everyone has email and is probably should probably be checking it daily. Occasionally I won't on a Saturday or a Sunday if I'm busy, I have other things going on, but yeah, that's totally fine. um does spending family time count for fit? If that's something that's for your fitness and health and overall well-being, by all means. It's really up to you. Um, yeah, I'll get into the push section in just a minute, Luke. So I'll come back to that. But that is roughly what the fit section looks like. Terry, my kids helped me come up with fit. Awesome. So that helped me out. My family back on a schedule for physical activities. Awesome. Very cool. That's great to hear. So again, the fitness schedule is anything related to your health, well-being, fitness, whatever that looks like. Yes, Cameron, that is perfect. So, yes, fit is anything that supports your health mentally or physically. Yes, your overall well being, your state of mind, anything like that. Again, are you cooking healthy meals? Maybe you're walking instead of driving somewhere, or maybe it can be just incremental changes, little things that go into there. Yeah, you can absolutely, if petting your dog, if that is something that contributes to your overall health and well-being, by all means. Yeah, skateboard. If you want to skateboard every day, by all means. Be careful. Hopefully, wear a helmet, pads, all that. Um, I, Jasmine, to answer you says I don't want the same thing across the board. I want you to think about things that you can do, will do, would like to do. Um, if you run 5 miles every day, run 5 miles every day. That's fine. I get it. I'm not going to tell you to break your routine that you're already in. Um, Brett, yes, spiritual health counts. If that's something that you want to put in there, if you do engage in spiritual practices, by all means, feel free to put those in there. How serious does it have to be? How serious do you take your overall fit health, well-being? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you put things in there that you feel like are reasonable for you. It's your schedule. I'm not going to say, hey, you have to. I mean, I'll give you the kind of the guidelines of what we're looking for. But I'm not going to say it can't be this thing or it can't be that thing. Um, Cameron, what if your schedule doesn't change week to week? I think that you probably have enough things going on in your week that you can put changes in there. Again, I think this is also another example of where being specific is really important, because if you put your activities in and you actually put the activity number in there, activity 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, they change. Next week, they will not be the same number of activities. You can put the same activities in, and they'll be the activities you need to do, but they'll have different numbers, which will make it different. So being specific as to what you're actually doing with your time is the way I think you'll avoid having a lot of a complete duplicate of a schedule week to week. Can we be a bit over dramatic? I mean, if you, I'm not sure what you're asking for specifically. If you have a question, what I'd encourage you to do is to email your instructor or me. I'd be happy to chat with you about specifics, and we'll go through it. So fit, everyone's good on fit. What if you don't deviate from the same routine every day, every week? Is that same? Is it the same really? Um, if you don't deviate from your routine at all, I think that what I would say is, if you don't deviate from your routine, you probably there are probably subtle differences in your day, or there are more things. If you have, there's only like three things for work. You probably have more than three things each day that you actually need to get done. you know, Bills to get paid, errands to run, go to the grocery store, things like that. Um, I mean, I can think of, gosh, a lot of things that I have to do on an everyday basis. I wouldn't have a hard time picking different things that I was going to put into the work section. So that's probably where I'd start with the answer to that. As I'd start in the work section, and I'd make little changes. I might do the same things each week, but I wrote about different things that I was doing each week. But yeah, you can absolutely do the same things on multiple days. Again, this one says check emails is on there. Multiple. It's on there every day. It says there's meetings on there multiple days, because multiple days there are meetings. There's training on there multiple times in different sections. So it's absolutely okay to have the same things over there. All right. I think that pretty much covers it. The push section. That's really where the push section, I'd say, is where I'd like you to be the most aspirational. It's where I'd ask people to say, what are the things that you're doing in life above and beyond school and work and the things you have to get done? What are your and they might be related to your school or work, so I don't mean completely outside of that. But what are things you're doing to get above and beyond? Where are you pushing yourself beyond, your comfort zone, beyond your regular boundaries? Where are you really striving to excel the most? And if you have one overarching theme of a thing that you're trying to work at, what are specific tasks you can do each day that are related to that theme or topic or area that you're trying to work hard at? So, some people, I've had people before say, I'm really pushing myself to meet new people, to break out of my shell, to get out of my comfort zone. What are some things that relate to that each week? Luke, not eating meat. If that's a big push for you, then sure. By all means, if that's like a something related to a goal that you have, and not eating meat is part of that goal, by all means, that's fine. Are you? And it's funny because on here it says learn new vegan dessert recipe and bake, which is would absolutely be part of that. Yeah, I mean, I love bacon and steak too. Don't get me wrong. Um, if that's something that is part of a goal that you're working towards, by all means, feel free to put that in the push section. If you feel like you need to explain it a little bit, you might want to write a little bit more in there. Um, Studying areas you want to specialize in, yeah, absolutely, Pernell. That's a great one. What I would do is I would say, if you're, working on, if you're learning about coding, tell me what, programming language you're learning. If you're, if you're working on audio stuff, tell me what piece of software or hardware you're using. What thing specifically, what tool you're learning, what you're picking up. Austin, I put learning piano and making music in a draw for a few of mine. Yeah, that's awesome. Those are both great things. Anything where you're kind of pushing yourself above and beyond or outside of your comfort zone. Right. This can be social things. This can be networking. This can be a hobby that you really love that you want to spend more time in. This can be maybe you want to push to be closer to a friend. You want to spend more time with someone. Um, you want to get a little bit better at a skill that you have or that you're working on. Anything where you're really trying to be your best self. Put that in the push section. Does that help? Does anyone have any questions about that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, studio work. That's good. Yes. Okay. Cool. If anyone has questions, please jump in. I know push can be a challenge for a lot of people. Sometimes, again, we say, "Oh, I don't have time. My schedule's already full. I'm not pushing myself." If you're in that position where you don't have time, you can't fit another thing in, tell me what you'd do if you did have time. If you had extra time in your day, if you could make that time up, what would you be doing? If you had an extra 3 hours in the day, how would you spend it? What would you be? And don't say relax. I know everyone wants to. If we didn't have time, we'd probably sleep. But what's something that you really aspire to, kind of got better at? Victoria, reading this psychology book I found, absolutely. Yeah, if you are reading a new book, by all means. finding time could be the push. It would be. There are a finite number of hours in the day, so I don't know how that would exactly fit in. Um, Victoria, well, I'm glad that that worked. Yeah, absolutely. Any more questions about the push section? Oh, I'm sorry. 5 hours of sleep. Yeah. Okay, so I want to get my artistic skills better. Do I need to put something specific or work on drawing per day? I would if you're gonna work if you're working on your artistic skills, I would put specifically what you're doing. Yeah, if you're working on doing a drawing a day, yeah, tell me, are you doing figures? Are you doing landscapes? Are you doing abstract drawings? You know, kind of give me some insight into like what are you working on and what do you want to get better at specifically? What are some very specific things like, you know, I want to get better at art is great. I'm going to work on shading. Like, and if you put it on Tuesday and you don't work on shading on Tuesday, that's fine. But I want to know concrete, like break down your task is kind of what I'm saying. You know, if you have, right, if art is your thing, you know, hey, I want to get better at outlines today. I want to get better at shading. I want to get better at, you know, figure drawing. Put those actual tasks in there that make up getting better at my art skills overall. A lot of my pushes come from video games. For instance, practicing beating a certain game faster. Sure, if that is what you're pushing yourself towards, by all means. What if it's preparation for a class? Yeah, I think that getting ahead of your schedule is absolutely, yeah, for the artistic thing. Yeah, tell me what class it is that you want to get better at. Tell me what tools you're learning. Tell me what software you're learning. You know, if you're, you know, drawing, you know, doing computer animation, you want to get better at using your Wacom tablet. Tell me that. Tell me you're working on that. Tell me what tools within that you're trying to use better. Does that help? I don't know if you are working with the Wacom tablet, but as an example. Oh, we don't have them yet. Yeah. Okay. As long as you get where I'm going with that, I think even if you don't have it yet, you could still watch. You know, you could watch tutorials. You could do lynda.com trainings. Yeah, and then when you do get your Wacom tablet, you'll be ahead of the game because you'll already know how it works in new and different ways. Um, all right, so I think that that probably covers the push section fairly well. After that, there's going to be questions each week at the bottom. Answer them. They're essay questions, so there'll be, you know, a question, read it, answer it with a full paragraph. There should be a full paragraph per question. Um, just kind of keep that in mind. If you're writing, you know, write at least 4 sentences. I'd say 4 to 6 sentences will definitely let your instructor know that you have put some thought into it and you have something to say. If you write, you know, single word or single sentence answers, you're probably not going to get full credit for it. Victoria, I'm sorry. Do you know when we get those? I do not off the top of my head. Katya says after 4 months of classes. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Um, sorry, Darius, I'm just going in, pulling up the directions real quick, so I am on board. Let's see. So for the week 1 plan, let's see what the question is. So it says reflection question. Answer each question with a minimum of 5 to 6 detailed sentences. Those are the directions in the actual in the actual weekly plan. So I would say go by that. The 2 questions are what's your experience with goal setting? So you'd want to talk about, what goals you've set in the past, what you've done, how your results have been. Were you successful? Were you unsuccessful? How did that feel? So on and so forth. Kind of in that vein. The second question: after creating this plan, which area will be most challenging for you? Then it says which one will be the easiest, and it says you may use your E3 results as a reference. So, you've made this whole plan. Where do you think you're going to struggle? What's going to be hard for you? What's going to be easy for you? Why do you think that? Why do you think one is going to be more challenging than the other? What do you think is going to be easy about the section that, you found is easiest? You could be like, well, I'm bad at time management, so I have a hard time getting all my work turned in on time. I think the easiest part's going to be play because I like playing video games and hanging out with my dog. So kind of going to put a little bit of thought into these. I gave kind of just brief responses, but make sure that you're answering them with full paragraphs for each question. Any other questions about that, about the weekly plan? I think that pretty much covers all of it. Any questions at all? Nope. Okay. Well, I think that pretty much covers that. After that, we have the discussion board, which again is different each week. There's going to be different questions that you get asked, so make sure that you're looking at the discussion board for each week. I'm sorry, I'm pulling up on my computer. We have slightly different questions. I'll actually just flip over real quick. Sorry, you'll have to bear with me for just a moment. My apologies. I don't think I'll be able to do that. No, maybe. Let's see. Do that. There we go. Can everyone see my screen? Yes. Okay, wonderful. I just wanted to switch over real quick. So this is the discussion board, what this looks like for each week. Yeah, you can hear my kids. They just came in. And they're making a lot of noise. All right. So your initial post, this is the one that is due on Thursday night, Thursday at 11:59 p.m. Excuse me for just a moment. All right. Sorry about that. I just had to acknowledge my children, let them know I saw them. So, right. It says, describe an activity that you find fun. Keep it professional. What did you enjoy most about the activity? How would you talk others into trying this activity? So right, just kind of answer that question in just that way. What is a fun play activity for you? Whatever that activity is. The second one, identify and define at least two concepts from the week one reading. So identify and define. Tell me what concept you want to talk about, and then define it in your own words. So I want to make sure that you're definitely pulling something from the readings, and I want it to be in your words. Does it have to be an activity that you put in your weekly plan? No, it can be a different activity. It doesn't have to be something you put in your weekly plan. But right, so identify and define at least two concepts from the reading. This is one that you might actually want to break down into two paragraphs. If you want to do it in one, that's fine. But sometimes people like to break it down into two separate paragraphs, just so that way they can say, "Hey, I'm talking about one topic here, and then I'm making a break, and then I'm talking about another topic. The one thing I'll tell everyone right now not to do: please do not submit one giant block of text and just say, "Well, I answered all the questions," but in this big block of text. What I encourage you to do is to, I actually just break it down, and I number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I submit. I'd put in a little paragraph for each one. I'd break it down, at least break it down into paragraphs. You don't necessarily have to number them. If you feel inclined, you can just copy and paste the questions right into it and just say, "Hey, here's the question. Here's my answer to it." Just so that way your instructor doesn't have any questions. They make sure that you know that they know that you've answered all the questions thoroughly. Yes, I would like to see some sort of formatting. Giant block of text is my least favorite, and I would prefer at least broken down into paragraphs. It says provide an example of how these concepts tie into the activity, the play activity that you described above. So kind of be thinking about that when you're picking the concepts that you're going to define. Are those related to, the play activity, the activity that you find fun? How are those concepts related? Is there a way that you can relate them back to it? The week one concepts are usually they're pretty easy to tie back into a play activity, so I don't think you'll be in too much trouble there. But just kind of bear in mind that one will be related to another. Question 4: what percentage of your play goals did you complete this week? I'm sorry. One paragraph per question. Yes. Was it? Do you have a second question, Bianca, or just that one? Christopher. Yes. The screenshot of a game is fine. No, Bianca, you're good. I'm glad I got the question answered. Fear I may have missed something, but all right. Question 4: what percentage of your play goals did you complete this week? Well, that's just a percentage question. I completed this percentage of my play goals. How did your play impact your mood, or impact your week with your mood, your motivation, self-esteem, relationships? How did you feel? So on and so forth. Can this be uploaded as a Word document? I don't think that's the best way to do it. If you want to write it in a Word document, I would recommend copying and pasting it after that into the post box. And the reason I say that is because you're going to be asked to respond to your peers, and people tend to take the path of least resistance. So if they have to go and open a document and download that document just to be able to respond to you, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to do that. Also, for your instructor's sake, if I just go through and you have the posts in the post box, it shows up there. It's easy for me. But every time if I have to go through and click and download a new document, it just becomes cumbersome after a while. So it would be my preference. Yeah, Terry. So right, the instructor I have has said no Word docs, upload directly to the board. That is my preference. Um, people, yeah, it just saves us a lot of time on the grading end of it. We don't have to download them all. Thank you. Yeah, it would I would very much appreciate it. Yep. Yeah. If Katie says that, I agree. Yeah, she and I are the same way. Yeah, it's definitely that would be my preference. The last one says upload an image of you engaging in play. This one again, there's actually a drag and drop tool for you to and come down here and actually show you right here. It's this image button. If you just click on that, you can drag and drop an image into it, and then it'll actually show up in your post as opposed to making an attachment. So can it be a really old photo? No, it can't. I want to see a photo of you engaging in an activity this week. So that was the first question. Describe an activity that you find fun. Oh, you know what? It just says describe an activity that you find fun. I think it historically this question was slightly different. It used to say tell us something that you did to engage in play this week. So yes, if it's still an activity that you find fun, then yes. If you're in my class, Austin, yes. I think that'd be funny to see a baby photo. If you're in someone else's class, I would ask first. I would just double check. Some people might want to say, hey, what are you doing right now that you think is a fun activity that you want to describe and discuss in this? I have a pretty good sense of humor. Most of the team does. I would double check if you're not in my class with your instructor, if you can. So right. Upload the image of you engaging in play. And right, the initial post, like I said, is due Thursday at 11:59 p.m. What if it's just a screenshot of you playing a game? Yeah, that's fine. You can. I would say, hey, this is a screenshot. I would describe it. If it's just a screenshot, I'd make sure that you put a description in there. Hey, this is me doing X. Yeah, same thing. If you're video editing, that's fine. If it's a screen grab, that's fine. Just make sure that you explain what it is, so that way we're not totally confused. Screenshot of video game works. What if we don't have anyone that can take a photo of you having fun? Selfie. Yep, take a selfie. That's fine. That's perfect. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. I think that answers all the questions about the discussion board. Am I missing anything? Make sure that this post is in what if we don't want to show our face? Don't show your face then. it's that easy. Don't worry about it. That's totally fine. Right. Initial post. Make sure you have it in by 11:59 Eastern. Full Sail is in the Eastern time zone, so please make sure that you have everything in at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. If you miss the initial post deadline, please make your post. Sleeping does not count as play. No. If you miss the initial post deadline, still make your post. It's very important. You can still earn all the points back, even if you miss the deadline. If you miss the deadline, you can respond to an additional person, because that's the second half of this, is the response post. You need to respond to 2 of your peers using the RISE model of giving feedback. RISE model, it should be 1 paragraph, and it should hit all 4 of these points: reflect, inquire, suggest, and elevate. So kind of reflect on what the person has said. Hey, I like what you said. I find the same thing entertaining that you do. Inquire, ask them a question. Hey, you mentioned you like, playing this video game. How did you, what did you think about this boss on that level? Suggest, hey, I, played this game and I also found that I really like this other game. Have you given that a try? And then elevate, kind of how can you bring conversation to the next level? If something is late, is it an automatic 0% question mark? No, it is not. Again, that's where I was going with this. If you miss this initial post deadline, you missed that 11:59 deadline, you still have until Sunday to make the post, and you can earn the points back by responding to an additional peer using the RISE model for giving feedback. So where you normally give 2 people feedback, are you referring to other assignments? Yes on some and no on others. The quiz, if you miss the quiz, yes, it is a 0. I'm sorry, Darius. I'm sorry, we were talking about the for instructors or all instructors. Certain things I have no flexibility on, like a quiz. The quiz closes, the answers are revealed, and if you missed it, it's a 0. Other things, it's gonna be up to the instructor as to whether or not they'll take late work. The quiz is due on Sunday, correct? If you messaged me on Wednesday and you said, hey, I forgot to turn my weekly plan in last night, I'd probably I have a 10-point per day deduction for late work, so that's my policy. I cannot say that's generally what you'll find is 10 points per day, with the exception of things like a quiz. That's one that I just can't reopen it. Once it closes, that's the end of it, and they don't reopen. Yes, you're correct, John. I said not to use a Word document to upload. Just take the text. If you write in a Word document, if you prefer that, just copy and paste that into the post box, which would be, you'll have one that says post where mine says feedback. You'll also have a feedback box, which is if you want to write things to me. But you'll have where it says completion. You'll have a box that says post. Copy and paste it in there. Hit post. The rubric, though, we'll go through that. Points wise, that's what the points look like. It says thoroughly addresses all of the questions and meets length requirements. So that means you're writing one paragraph per question, and you've thoroughly addressed all parts of the question. So, you go back up, and some of them have multiple parts. So, describe an activity you found fun. What's the most enjoyable thing about that activity? How would you talk to others? How would you talk others into trying this activity? If you don't hit all points of that, then you haven't answered all parts of the question. So that's what that first question looks like. Bianca, the quiz is based on the readings, yes. The second question, provide clear and specific examples and or concepts in the initial post. So this is specifically that question number 2 where it says identify and define at least 2 concepts from the week 1 reading. So that's directly tied to that. If you're not talking about the readings, you're not showing. I mean that is effectively us saying, please demonstrate that you've done the readings and you know what we're talking about. So that's what we're looking for in there. This one, respond to at least 2 classmates using the RISE model for giving feedback. We just went over that. Respond to 2 people's posts. Make no spelling or grammatical errors. It's worth 10 points. Just kind of watch your spelling, spell check. If Grammarly, if that's a thing you use, whatever it is, make sure that you're, no text speak kind of stuff like that. And then, the last one, meets the initial post deadline of Thursday night, or posts initial post and responds to 3 additional classmates using the RISE model. So if you aren't able to post on time for whatever reason, just respond to an additional peer and make the post, and you can still earn 100%. So that's the breakdown for that. Does anyone have any questions about this assignment, the discussion board? Any questions at all? Oops, sorry, that's not what I meant to open. I have to go back over to there. There we go. All right, so I think that is pretty good as far as the discussion board goes. Let's see, right? Check your messages. That's a pretty easy one. Check your emails. Occasionally, you'll get messages or announcements from your instructors. Just kind of check in there on a. I think if you check your email once a day, your full sail email, it's probably a wise decision. If you log into FSO, that's you'll get what you need that way, at least in terms of what your instructors will be sending you. So after that, it's talking about play. Kind of that's the business of it all, and now we get to talk about play. So I sometimes the business part takes a little bit longer than the rest of it, but we move on. We talk about play. I would imagine. No, there's no imagine. I know everyone has a reason they came to Full Sail. Usually, what I find though is that everyone has something specific, a passion, something that they're really, driving hard at, something that they really love doing. Why else would you, decide to to spend the next, couple of years? Um, oh, Terry, full sail came to you. Okay, yeah, I could see that. We do go out in the world sometimes. Austin, it was here at LA Film School. Okay. This was obvious choice. When I saw higher education for audio production. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that made sense to you. Was something that ended up working out. Um, I think that play is one of the things again that we don't always give a lot of weight to. But when you look at larger systems and you look at, they use big picture thinking is a it's a broad term, but um, a lot of times I think that we don't think about play from uh, a perspective of what we get out of it. I think we say this seems like a big waste of time. Why would I be spending my time doing this? Um, but if you look at larger systems, they're doing it. You look at the super big creative companies. You look at the easy examples are Google and things like that. They want their employees to have fun. They want them to enjoy their lives. They want them to enjoy their lives at Google. But they're interested in their well being, and are taking steps to ensure that. Um, you know, Play really does impact our ability to um, do creative problem solving. All of the parts of our brain that are tied up in creative problem solving and are used for that, um, effectively get recharged by play, or depleted by stress, or a combination of the two things. Play is effectively, from a chemical standpoint, the counterpoint to stress and stress hormones. Um, what we'll talk about later on in the course as we move through in the weeks is basically um, the way that stress will keep us from being able to access creative part of our brain, and it's kind of there's no kind of it's the sorry, words are hard for me today. It's the evolutionary mechanisms that have said, hey, I'm stressed out because a lion is chasing me, and I need to, all my energy needs to get channeled in this one way. I need to, my vision gets tunneled, my digestion stops, because I need blood to go to my limbs and extremities and heart and lungs, and those are the systems that I need to work really well. Yes, you can do your weekly plan in an Excel document. That's fine. Um, what we find though is that stress hormone will elicit that response. Um, and if we're running away from a lion, that's all really important. But if we're just going through life doing regular stuff and we're stressed out about everything, um, our evolutionary response doesn't really help us that well. We're not in a lot of situations where we actually need the fight or flight response. What we what we really need is better problem solving skills and things like that. Um, and play is kind of what frees us up to have those things. It frees us up to do the type of thinking and processing that it takes to be creative, and, remain innovative, and free up our headspace, um, to be able to do this. Um, all right. So right, that's why we have play. It's kind of just the logical response to dealing with everything that's keeping us from getting where we're going. Is the short answer, short version of that. It's a nice quote. It says, "Play how it shapes the brain, opens the imagination, invigorates the soul." I think that if you look at play uh, in children, you'll start to see that it's. I have really unique perspective. I have twin boys, and seeing kind of what they learn day by day through play activities, through the things that they think are fun. They chuck things off of their chairs and they jump off of stuff all the time. And they're getting physics lessons, and they're having all sorts of other interesting learning experiences that come along with that. Um, there's definitely a lot of things that kind of fall into that category. So this is where we get into like slightly more technical stuff. We have all these words that come up when we're looking at the definition of play. So if you're asking about play, Jordan, am I supposed to use the template? I already plan all my work. I'm supposed to do in Excel. If you're in my class, you can submit an Excel file as long as it meets the same requirements as are in the weekly plan. If you're in someone else's class, I would recommend that you email them and ask them. Does that help? Cool. Uh, so play is apparently purposeless. And what that means is that we're doing it for its own sake. We like having fun. It's a good time. We like to enjoy ourselves. We're not necessarily, driven to do it by an external factor. So we're just in it for its own sake. It's voluntary. No one's making us do it. No one has coerced us into it. We're into it. We want to go out and have fun, have a good time, and enjoy it. Um, Dearest, you said, but I thought it was so we could recharge. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely part of it. I think it's more some ideas about what constitutes play. Play might not hit every one of these, but these are just kind of some of the broader definitions. Play tends to have an inherent attraction. You see someone playing, you see them out having fun, and you want to do it. I do, at least. When I see people out having fun, I'm drawn to it and I want to go do the same thing because it seems like a lot of fun. We have a freedom from time that tends to occur, and this is, you start doing something and you just lose track of time. It all just kind of evaporates. You say, oh, where'd the day go? I was playing a game or out with my friends, or I'm sure everyone had that experience as a kid where they'd go out and they'd play with their friends, and then it'd be nighttime and they'd wonder how did the day pass so quickly. Engaging in play tends to have that be something that comes up. Diminished consciousness of self. Um, this kind of falls into a couple of different categories. One being, when we're playing and we're really engaging in play and having fun, we tend not to think about ourselves as much. We don't notice that we're hungry, or we don't notice we're tired, or if we get hurt, we don't notice that we're hurt. It also kind of gives us the freedom to, the phrase "dance like no one's watching" comes up. You're out having fun and you're not worried about how you look or what other people think. You're just out and you're doing it and you're engaged, and it's a lot of fun. Um, Play has improvisational potential, so we can always find ways to go out and improvise. Damon, if you have a question, you can go ahead and post it, and I will answer it when I get around to it. So right, improvisational potential. Play also has continuation desire. When we start doing play, we usually want to jump back into it. We're interested in it. We want to keep engaging in play. We want to go back to it. It kind of continues to draw us in and bring us back. Don't confuse these with play personalities. That is something that we will also be talking about here shortly. I'm going to jump into those, but right. Qualities of play and play personalities. Those are all qualities of play. We're going to talk about play personalities next. It says it's about the journey and not the outcome, which I really tend to agree with. I think that play it's about having fun in the moment. It's about being present to, what's going on in your life right here and now. The outcome is there. Whatever happens, happens. Hopefully it's fun. That's really what we're looking at. So just kind of keep that in mind. That is the end of the first set of slides. I'm going to jump over real quick. Let's see. Oops. Here we go. We should be on, it should say welcome to Psychology of Play. Is everyone able to see that? Oops, you know what? Let me see. Oh no, Bianca, that sounds like a unpleasant experience. Dearest, yes, I'm aware that this is a lot of this is covered in the initial readings. Yes. Is everyone able to see my screen? I just have it says welcome to Psychology of Play. Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure this slide deck was coming up. So right, we go into benefits of play. I would imagine everyone would tend to agree that play is valuable as an adult. When we kind of look at play when we're young people. Can't see it. Okay, let me go back. Give me just a moment. I apologize. I will, let's see. Give me just a moment. I think this is it. Okay. All right, that should have us there. Is that good for everybody? Can everyone see that now? Yes? Okay, wonderful. Excuse me for just a moment. All right, I am back. My apologies for that. All right, so going through play as an adult. I think that play has a lot of value for us as an adult. We tend not to think about it as much. I think that most people have kind of gotten into a routine where they engage in play or they don't. I am one of the people who I've kind of always wanted to do fun stuff, whether that was horsing around with my friends or playing jokes with each other or whatever it is. That social element of play has always been a big part of my life. So I really enjoy play. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's a good time. And I think that it allows us. It's allowed me to stay connected with people who otherwise would have been easy to kind of drift apart from. So for social reasons, I think it's very valuable for me as an adult. A lot of times we have this question where we equate seriousness with or we look at play and seriousness and we say they're not equivalent. There's this tendency I feel like parents tell their kids, they say, grow up, or, no time for play, or act like an adult, or, whatever kind of, situation or things that we tell ourselves or have been told. Um, this idea that play can only exist in childhood, and that once you become an adult, it can't really be a thing anymore. Um, but yeah, I'm sure people were likely telling a lot of people that in high school. Um, I feel like high school is yeah, definitely a time when we want you know people to start, we say act like an adult and things like that. Um, right. Um, I think that we're probably getting closer and closer to the idea that it's important to get work done, but it doesn't mean we have to be serious all the time. And I think that's kind of where we have to really look at the balance. I think that's an interesting thing that's coming up with. I don't want to say I say younger people, and I include myself in younger people. Um, Work-life balance is one of those things that I think people really want in their life. I want it in my life. It's important for me to enjoy my life, and I don't think that I've thought about that. What's the trade-off with time and money, and what's actually important to me? And I'm like, I really think I'm like, oh well, enjoying my life is really valuable. I don't know that I could put a dollar figure on like how much money would you have to pay me to not enjoy my life, and would it be worth having the money if I wasn't enjoying it? So it's these interesting kind of thought experiments that I think are coming up with younger people, when they really look at how they want their lives to look and what they want them to be like, and what's important to them. So play is important to me. Yeah, Jairus, 100%. Everyone does have a price. I don't deny that. You're absolutely correct. Um, so play history is one of the things that we'll cover. I'd encourage everyone to take some time and look back over how you played as a child and how that relates to what's going on now in your life, in your career, so on and so forth. We're also going to talk about play personalities. This is a big theme and concept from week one, from the week one readings, but we'll go through them one at a time. Everyone knows somebody who falls into the Joker play personality. Somebody who wants to have fun, who's oftentimes engaged in practical jokes, in some short sort of shenanigans, one way or the other. It's fun for people. People who fall into that play personality. I really like jokes. I like practical jokes. I like kind of elaborate practical jokes. I don't like them to be mean spirited or hurt people, but I really like a good, well thought out practical joke. So that is very much my sense of humor. Um, so I enjoy them. We have the explorer play personality, and I think that the explorer play personality is really one that means a lot of different things. I think that from the picture, you think, oh, I don't have money to travel, I can't be an explorer play personality. That's not what I think play personality means. You can explore imaginary worlds. You can explore through reading. You can explore through open world games where you go out and explore a new map somewhere you haven't been. Um, well done, Bianca. I like that. So right, the explorer can it can really fall into a lot of different things. Kind of comes in from all directions. We have the kinesthete. So usually this is someone who likes to be in motion, for fun. That's part of it. People who are dancers. Sometimes you have people who are athletes. People who just who like pushing their physical limits. People who have a lot of times tend to be kinesthetic learners who learn through doing. But right, people who want to be in motion. We have competitors. A lot of times, competitors and kinesthetes are one and the same, but they can also be different. But this is someone who enjoys competition. They will probably play just about anything. They'll do almost anything if there is a competition in there. Yeah, you can absolutely be more than one. I think I fall into several play personalities. I have, kind of one or two that are predominant. I fall into the Joker and the kinesthete, and sometimes a competitor. I have. We'll get through into it, but there's a collection, a collector. So yeah, all of these things can yes, you can have multiple play personalities. I'm sorry, that's where I was going with this. No, I wouldn't. This isn't really about playing to your strengths. This is mostly just about the different types of play that we engage in. Jared says, "Are we going to explore the personalities we disagree with during our assignments?" No, you can talk about play personalities as a whole. It's part of the reading, so you can talk about them. I would, I don't, you can, I guess you could talk about whatever you want about them. I would probably focus on the ones that you identify with instead of the ones that you don't identify with. But you can write about what you want in your discussion boards. So right, the back to this, the competitor play personality is a person where competition is what they're after. They're into the competing. The activity itself is probably secondary to the idea that they're in competition. I'm sure everyone knows someone like this who will compete at almost anything that comes across their path. We have the artist play personality. Again, we have a lot of these at Full Sail. People who really enjoy, right, creativity. That's what they really love doing. Creating, being artistic, sharing that with others. The director play personality. This is an interesting one. I think you see these. It's I was like this when I was a kid. I was a kid who had toys but didn't really like to play with them, but liked to arrange them. That was one of my favorite things when I was a kid. Get Legos or other things, and I'd like to set up scenes and orchestrate them, but I didn't really pick them up and move them around. I just like to kind of right set the stage for things. It was very fun for me. It was satisfying. Some kids like to crash their cars into each other, and I like to set up elaborate situations. That was always a lot of fun for me when I was a kid. The storyteller is someone who, right, enjoys creating a world, enjoys creating stories, or telling true stories. I think that storytelling is, one of it is, and oral tradition is kind of how history has been passed down over the years. Before we wrote, before we had the written word, we were telling stories. And I think this is a really interesting thing. I think storytelling does a lot. It communicates so much, and it's a really beautiful art form, and a great way for people to play. So, yeah, if you find yourself being a story player, that's awesome. Storyteller, that's great. I really like listening to stories. I'm a big fan of a podcast called The Moth. It's I'll there's a link to it if anyone's interested. It's a really fun storytelling podcast. I like it a lot. If that's something that you're into, check it out. And if it's not, then don't check it out. But it's something I really like. I like to share it with my students. So if that's something that you find interesting or entertaining, I hope that it can be new and exciting to you. Then we have the collector play personality. This is someone who collects. I keep a collection of exotic fruit trees. That is what I've probably been collecting for the past 4 years or so. I've been collecting fruit trees. I've got a lot of them, and I really like it. I get fruit out of it, and it's fun and nice, and I get to care for the plants. And but right, inevitably, everyone has something that they've collected or wanted to collect over the years. It's pretty common thing to do. It's a fun way to get out and play and do so. Yeah, there we go. Action figures, Hot Wheels, collect different marbles. I do not have breadfruit. No, I live in a subtropical climate, so it gets too cold here for breadfruit. Yeah, keychains. There you go. There's all sorts of. I've kept every game I own. Kept every game I own. Is that collecting? Yeah, I mean, like you have a collection of games. Absolutely. Um, so right, benefits of play. Um, Play keeps us connected. I think this is something that you'll see as you go through the readings. When you look at the play activities that you engage in. Um, I feel like people have gotten really deep into their conversation off side topics, and I don't know what almost anyone is talking about at this point. You collect champagne corks. That there you go. That's something fun. No, it's okay. I realize we're an hour and a half in. People get restless. Play connects us. I think that's a really interesting thing. A lot of times we play with our friends, not necessarily because we want to play, but because we like being connected. We like our friends. We like the people we're with. It's understandable. I have friends who I really I get together with, and we share activities. But I want to spend time with my friends, so I want to stay connected with them. It's important to me. Um, Play and its relationship to creativity, flexibility, and learning is a big one. Again, creative problem solving, solutions that we work through and that we facilitate um, through all of our play activities are pretty interesting. Our decision making, kind of heavy duty life skills that play really allows us to practice in a fairly safe environment. Um, I think it really offers a lot in that way. Like I was talking about before, a reduction in stress. Nobody wants more stress in their life. I think that stress is really one of the things that will. I mean, it is. It really can send us down an unpleasant path. So if we can reduce it, it's worth doing. Play teaches us to persevere. I think everyone is probably. I mean, if you have something that you're very good at, you probably started off being fairly bad at it, and maybe it came naturally to you. And if it did, great. But I think that everyone has probably started off at something and not been great at it, but really enjoyed it and really wanted to get better at it, and they did. So being able to learn about perseverance and having that pay off is a really valuable lesson. Play makes us happy. It's one of those things that we do. We go after it. We have fun. We enjoy ourselves, and a little play goes a long way. And what I mean by that is, I think that sometimes we think about play and we say, oh, I'm gonna lose the whole day if I go out and play. And a 20-minute play break is more than enough. Um, yeah, that's funny. Yes, I am really telling everyone to play. Play a little play goes a long way. So you can carve out 20 minutes. A 20-minute break is long enough to recharge, refresh, kind of get yourself reset into a mindset where you can usually go back to something and feel completely rested and ready to go back into something. So carve out just a little bit of time when you need to, and engage in play. So right, reconnecting with play. Depending on how you think about play, maybe reevaluate. It says change how you think about play, and I don't think that that's entirely necessary, depending on what your perspective is. But if you have a very work perspective, I respect it, and I'm not going to say you're wrong. But I think that it might be worthwhile to reevaluate your thoughts on play and whether or not you think there's value there. This is the this is draw coffee cup and a saucer, and it's really it's a discussion about practice. Doing something one time is fine, but when we do it every day for a month, I think we start to see a different result for it. So what I'd say is, if you can engage in play, even if it's only very small amounts of time, but if you're active about it, active about engaging in play, I think you'll probably see that over the course of a month, you'll have slightly, if not dramatic, muscle memory, different feelings and attitudes about it, and maybe it's something that you find is worth carving the time out of your day for, whatever that means, whatever that looks like. So right, in the readings, it'll talk about play history. Check that out. Think about how you've how you've engaged in play historically and how that relates to what it is that you're doing now. Chair, I'm not sure. It says what could be overplay. I don't follow the question. There you go. There's also a Discord that also came up. Ways to do it: surrounding yourself with playful people. If you know there's people who are out having fun, having a good time, do it. Can you play too much? You can definitely. I mean, depending on your schedule, yes. I remember a friend who lost his job because he spent all night, playing video games and couldn't get up and get to work. Um, you know, I think that had more to do with, um, he wasn't getting enough sleep. So, I think that I mean, I don't whether or not you'd blame that on play or whether you'd blame that on neglecting responsibilities. I don't know. If you engage in play, yeah, I mean, you time management is important. You need to manage your time. So if you have, some people have 3 hours a day that they spend playing video games, and they carve that time out. And they say, this is really important for me to have these 3 hours every day. And if that's what you do and that's important and it's not affecting the rest of your schedule, awesome. And if you want to play video games 3 hours a day, but you're not getting your homework done, it may be worthwhile to reevaluate how your time is being spent. But I leave that up to each person individually. I'm not going to tell anyone how or how much play they should have in their lives. Surrounding yourself with playful people. It says play with little ones or pets. So if you have kids or pets, my kids always want to play. They're always causing a ruckus and getting into something. Yeah, they're always there. But kind of to review what we learned, we hopefully have slightly different perspective on play. Um, some new and different ideas. Does anyone have any questions? That's everything that I'm going to talk about today in the go-to training. I'll sit and I'll answer questions for a little while. If you have them, great. If you don't, that's cool. You're more than welcome to leave. You can sign out, no problem. If you missed any of the go-to training, I'm going to be archiving this and posting it afterwards. So it will be in the go-to training section. Yep. Jump in with your questions if you have them. Otherwise, I will see everyone who's in my sections in the future. Yeah, thanks for being here. I appreciate everyone who showed up for this. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. What do I use for beard care? I use some products by a company called Honest Amish. I use their beard balm, and I like it very much. I do not stream, no. But now, if you find someone who sounds like me, let me know. I'm curious. I like their products. Thank you, Austin. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Yep. Thanks everybody for being here. Damien says, for the reading each week, is there a certain book? No, it's just the readings. They're in the activities. I believe this week it's activity 1.4 and 1.5 are the readings. So just open those activities up, and there's readings there, and that's it.